Hello everyone, in this video we are going to talk about solving quadratic equations on Study Island. So there are going to be multiple methods that you're going to deal with, so you might want to take notes when we work through this paper so that you know what to do when you're working on your blue ribbon assignment. Okay, so the first question is about solving the given quadratic equation. That's the instruction. So basically we have x squared on one side, 225 on the other side. So this corresponds to one of the IXLs that we dealt with this week, solving quadratics by taking square root or something like that. That was the title of the assignment on IXL. So when we take the square root of each side, the reason for this is, by the way, to get rid of this square. And then the root and square is going to cancel each other out because they are inverses of one another. And then when we put square root on each side, on the side that does not have the variable, we need to put plus minus. So right here, we gotta put plus minus. So if I bring down everything I have at this point, it looks like x equals plus or minus, and then square root of 225, if you grab a calculator and do this, it is going to be equal to 15. What this means is that the answer to this question is going to be positive 15 and negative 15. So it's both of them. So that would be the answer. Let's check the second question out. So solve the following quadratic. It is the same concept. We have a square that we want to cancel out. The left side looks like the square form. That was another IXL assignment that we did this week. So if we do square root to each side, we need to put plus minus. Okay? So let's cross these two out, and then that square and the root is going to cancel each other out. At this point, I am going to put plus minus to the right side. I'll drag down what I have. Let's just bring down what we have. X minus 19 is the leftover. Bring down the equal, and then put a plus minus 19. Now, we cannot just add 19 and solve this, because right side gives us two different things. So let's just separate them and see what happens if that is positive 19, like this, or if that is negative 19, like this right side. So these are the two equations that I have. So the second you put the square roots on each side, you need to put the plus minus in the next step on the right side. Okay, that's what I did over here, right there. That's what I did. So, and then that tells you if it's kind of like a complex equation versus this right here. There's nothing to solve. X is already by itself, so you can just say, okay, x is positive 15, negative 15. But in here, in the next question, right there, it's not, x is not by itself. That means you gotta separate it, create two different equations, one with the positive, one with the negative 19, and then solve them separately. So plus 19. So x equals 38 is our first answer. If there's only 138, that would be our answer anyways, but let's just finish it. And then we are adding that 19 again. Since we have minus 19, to cancel it out, we gotta do the inverse. Negative 19 plus 19 is 0. So two solutions, one is 38, the other one is 0. If you realize it's not like these ones, where we just use the same number with a plus minus, because we already did it over here with the 19. And then we ended up with three equations. We solve them, we get 38 and 0. Okay, moving on to the next one. Oops. Okay. Question number 3. Okay. Something is odd. Let's just... Okay, question number... Oops. question number 3. Let's see how that one looks like. Okay, so let's do this one. So this question, again, it says solve the following equation for all solutions of x. Solve it for x, get the x by itself. So for that, the first step is getting the x squared by itself. Right here, that should be all by itself. There's a -4 right next to it. I want to cancel that one out. So to cancel the subtraction out, we are adding 4 to each side. So bring down the x squared, and then right side is 4. Now at this point, to get rid of that squared in the power of x, we are doing square root. Okay, and then when we do this, remember you need to add plus minus. So these are gone. Bring down the left side, bring down the equal, bring down plus minus, and the number you have. Oh, that's not 4. Square root of 4 equals to 2. So our answer is going to be positive 2, negative 2. We are not separating it to solve two different equations because x is already by itself. So our answer would be this right there. Okay, which of the following quadratic equations has the following solution? Okay, this is going to take a while. I'll do the first one. Let's just do the first one. Okay, whenever you have a quadratic, there are two ways to solve this. One is just continuing what we have been doing with the other 3 questions, such as like try to simplify it, get the x by itself, solve it, and then see if x equals -14 is one of the answers. The second way is taking this -14 for x and then plugging it in. If you get on this website, Desmos, I think it is, I don't know if it is .com or .org, but if you just type Desmos calculator, you can just write the whole equation like this. Let me just use, this is the second way. 5 times, we have x squared, right? X is -14, and then we will square this. It should be in the parentheses. Plus 55 times x, should be in the parentheses again, equals. You don't even need to put the equal. You just type this on Desmos and see if the answer is, if the answer is 210. If when you type this in you get 210, that means yes, when you plug in -14, you get 210. That's a true equation. That's one of the solutions. That's the easiest way, okay? But I just want to show you what to do if you want to solve this using the regular way. So let's just do let me see if there's anything that is different than the others, so we can focus on that one. Okay, the first one would be good, because that's trial and error. I would like to do that question to give you another perspective. Okay, so this method is going to be trial and error. So step 1, in any quadratic, see if you can take out any factor. Like, can you divide all of those numbers by a number, or are those can you say that all those terms has x in it, or y, or m, the same variable in other terms? So looking at these, the first one, I can divide this number by 5, I can divide that number by 5, and this number by 5. So I will factor out the 5. That's my first step. Not all of the terms have x, so I cannot factor out the x, but I can take out or factor out the 5. So the equation turns into x squared plus 11x equals, okay, let's just do this in the second step, because we want to put all of those 3 terms together on one side. So 5x squared plus 55x equals 210. We cannot use the trial and error method when there is a number on the other side of the equation. That number should be 0. So step 1 would be subtracting 210 from both of the sides. So minus 210 and then minus 210 from the left. These are going to be cancelled out. Right side is going to turn into 0, and then we can do what we wanted to do. So first step, I'm rewriting the equation all over here. 5x squared. I'm trying to make it small so I have enough space. Minus 210 equals 0. Now I can factor the 5 out. So 5 is outside. X squared plus 11x minus, let's see, 4 52 equals 0. Okay, now I am going to factor this part out, because that's the quadratic. I cannot forget about that 5 that is outside of the parentheses. I cannot forget about the rest of the equation, but that's the part, the green part, is what I need to factor out. So for this, the trial and error method is like, break it down, x times x, and then break the 42 down. 42 is, let me see if I can find 11. Is it 42? Let me just simplify it over here. 42 times 5. Yep, that is 42. 22, 21 by 2. Okay, let's just factor out 42. 42 equals 1 times 42, and it also equals 2 times 21. It also equals, oops, 3 times 14. Okay, I think I found the number that I'm looking for. Yeah, I found the numbers that I'm looking for. My numbers are going to be 3 and 14, because if I add or subtract these two, I can get 11. Okay, that's my first step. And then when I multiply them, I can get 42, but I'm not looking for positive 42, I'm looking for negative 42, right? So one of these numbers should be negative on the right side, either 3 or 14. Now I'm thinking, okay, now that I figured out my numbers, not the signs, are going to be like those two. This is my first option, where negative 3 and 14 is my answers. And the other option that I have is positive 3 and then negative 14. Let me just write this more organized. Okay, so it's either one of these two, okay? So out of the two, which one of these pairs should I add to end up with a positive 11? So if I do, let's do it over here. If I work on this and do 3 plus negative 14, it's negative 11. By the way, if you're like, where the heck he found all of those, it's on one of the Excel videos that I explained the trial and error method. I also explained it a few weeks ago. If you didn't watch those videos, you might be like, what is he doing? So please watch those Excel videos that belongs to this week prior to this assignment, then you will see where these come from. So when I add these two, it gives me negative 11. It does not give me positive 11. So this is not my answer. But if I add these two numbers, let me do it over here, negative 3 plus 14, that gives me positive 11. So these are my numbers, okay? So what I do is I take those numbers, negative 3 and positive 14. Now that I know these are my numbers, I can pair the same line together and that line together, okay? X minus 3, again, I'm doing inside the parentheses. That was the one I meant. It was supposed to be a parentheses, okay. X minus 3 times x plus 14. Bring down the equal, bring down the right side, bring down what you have outside of the parentheses. Okay? Now, we were looking for if any of these equations would give us x equals negative 14 as a solution, right? That was what we were trying to figure out. So if we take this part over here, what we are looking at here is called the zero product property. It's another property that we learned this week in one of the IXLs. It was based on the zero product property. So the zero product property tells us when you multiply multiple terms, if the answer is 0, either one of those terms equal to 0. That's what it says. So right now we have 5 times that x minus 3 times x plus 14. We know 5 is not 0. That's obvious. That's not 0. Either x minus 3 equal to 0 or x plus 14. So if x plus 14 equals 0, when you solve this, subtract 14. So you'll get x equals negative 14. So this would be one of the solutions. So if you have enough practice, let me show you when I realized that x equals negative 14 was a solution to this question. I realized it over here. So basically I did all of the rest to show you that x equals negative 14 was a part of the solution. So this comes with practice. If you're going to use other resources to find your answers, to tell you whether x equals negative 14 is a solution or not, like over here that I mentioned, yes, it'll tell you the answer, but it's not going to help you learn how to get to it. So this is how to get to it. It's not going to happen in one night. It's going to take practice, effort, and stress. But I would strongly suggest you to do it step by step. If not, that's where you need to go to desmos.com or org. If you just type Desmos graphing calculator, so you can type the whole equation. I explain how to do it. It'll show you whether x equals negative 14 is a solution. So this was a very long process, but then again, with practice, you don't need to do the whole thing. You can realize after a while, it's not a short while, it's a long while, you will realize what the solutions are going to be. You'll just look at the rectangle, the blue rectangle that I put over here. At this point, you may realize whether it is a solution or not. Okay, I'm not doing the rest of this question because it's not going to take forever probably. I don't know how long it'll take. Doing it one thing, explaining it is a whole other. That takes way longer. So yeah, that's that question. Let's see what we can do for the rest. I just want to see if there's anything that I really want to mention, guys. Okay, that's question number 5 is trial and error. It's going to be trial and error. You're going to subtract 21. You're going to subtract 21 from both sides and then do trial and error, like that question that I did. Over here, okay, over here, question number 7, number 6, my bad. For question number 6, don't do this by hand, just, you can graph it on Desmos, it'll show you what the solutions are, okay? You can graph this on Desmos, just type it in, it'll show you what points you have. The points are going to be highlighted, and then see which ones are going to be your answer. Okay, these are all the same. Zero product property, either this one is 0, that one is 0. So this would be negative 3, that would be negative 6. So the answer would be D. That's how long it takes when you know what you're doing. After a while, these questions don't take too much time. Okay, that's it for the blue ribbon, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in another video. Let me stop this. Ooh, yeah.